So to all my niggas, man, been working real hard, getting all your packages out all week, man, and got a big shipment coming out today, Friday, man. With the Muskogee, you know, you got the upper Muskogee, you got the lower Muskogee, you got different groups being compassed into one thing. It's not just one tribe. Same thing as the Choctaw. The Choctaw is not just one tribe. It's a confederacy of tribes. You know what I mean? The Chickamauga, specifically, is a confederacy of tribes that didn't do no deals, right? Didn't sign no treaties, right? Okay. Native American group, okay. When they say Native American, of course they're referring, we're talking 1700s, 1800s, so we gotta look at the 1828 Noah Webster Dictionary. And the definition of an American boss in 1828. Originally, which means there ain't no other origin, this is what it is. The Aboriginals, okay? Or the Nagas that are the complexion of mamas, of Big Mama's penny, right? That old copper colored penny, right? Like this whole area, you know, that's the penny. That deep red, ruddy, reddish brown. I'm not talking about, you know what I mean? I'm just talking about reddish brown, right? Copper colored races that were found here are the Americans. You were found here by other swarthy Europeans, right? Swarthy, dark Europeans. So when you hear Native American, this is primarily what we're talking about. The others would try to graft themselves into this tree because it gives them some type of, roots. It gives them some type of roots, but they'll give you your roots while clinging to your roots at the same time, and that's really the make and the mark of a hijack. That's hijack city. Instead of just giving you your roots and saying, look, clearly you're the root of the tree, they gotta say, hey, but me too, boss. Me too. But you're not the definition. You're not the definition. So without including yourself into the definition, just let the definition be the definition. Let these Nagas have a land of their own because they were just found here. Who? The Native American groups. Now this specific copper color group separated from these other Cherokee, right, that wanted to make peace with the hijack Americans, not the Americans, right? Not the 1828 Webster Dictionary found here, copper colored cons. No, not you. Now they took your titles and now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America, boss. So the hijack rule, remember the hijack playbook? The hijack rule is that they can be born anywhere in any foreign land, anywhere across the earth, anywhere across the earth. American. Gotta look at the 1828 Noah Webster Dictionary. And the definition of an American boss in 1828. Originally, which means there ain't no other origin, this is what it is. The Aboriginals, okay? Or that are the complexion of of Big Mama's penny, right? That old copper colored penny, right? Like this whole area, that's the penny. That deep red, ruddy, reddish brown. I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about reddish brown, right? Copper colored races that were found here are the Americans. You were found here by other swarthy Europeans, right? Swarthy, dark Europeans. So when you hear Native American,
let me go back. I want y'all to hear that.
tell that to the cons. Tell that to the cons all across the earth plane. Con. Ooh, 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 So I was thinking, right, since Dragon Canoe died, they said 1792, something like that. What they say? I got a lot of tabs up my knockers, so you gotta be patient with a knock. Be patient with a knock around here, man. Okay. There we go. All right, 1792. Maybe I'm overdropping. Y'all let me know, because I'm popping off. Flat flat drop maps popping up. You're like, man, where you going, drop? Maybe I'm overdropping. But if I'm not overdropping, man, leave a comment. Say, drop, you are not overdropping. I love your comments, by the way, man. I appreciate the cons comments, man. So say, drop, please keep dropping. You're not overdropping. All right, so Dragon Canoe died February 29th, 1792. Now, they say he was dancing all night long, right? When they say Native American, of course, they're referring, we're talking 1700s, 1800s. So we got to look at the 1828 Noah Webster Dictionary. And the definition of an American boss in 1828. Originally, which means there ain't no other origin. This is what it is. The Aboriginals, okay? Or the Nagas that are the complexion of of Big Mama's penny, right? That old copper colored penny, right? Like this whole area, that's the penny. That deep red, ruddy, reddish brown. I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about reddish brown, right? Copper colored races that were found here are the Americans. You were found here by other swarthy Europeans, right? Swarthy, dark Europeans. So when you hear Native American, this is primarily what we're talking about. The others would try to graft themselves into this tree because it gives them some type of, roots. It gives them some type of roots, but they'll give you your roots while clinging to your roots at the same time, and that's really the make and the mark of hijack. That's hijack city. Instead of just giving you your roots and saying, look, clearly you're the root of the tree. They gotta say, hey, but me too, boss. Me too. But you're not the definition. You're not the definition. So without including yourself into the definition, just let the definition be the definition. Let these Nagas have a land of their own because they were just found here. Who? The Native American groups. Now this specific copper color group separated from these other Cherokee, right, that wanted to make peace with the hijack Americans, not the Americans, right? Not the 1828 Webster Dictionary found here, copper colored cons. No, not you. Now they took your titles and now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America, boss. So the hijack rule, remember the hijack playbook? The hijack rule is that they can be born anywhere in any foreign land, anywhere across the earth, anywhere across the earth. They can be born in any of these lands and then take the title of that land. That's like a disease or a parasite spreading to any part of your body and now claiming that part of your body, man, because it was born there. That's hijack city, and we on a war path, boss, because they've been on a war path. I do it for my Nagas all across the plain. I do it for my Nagas locked down in the prisons because they got us in the prisons still. We in the prison camp right now. You got to guard your gates. And your city will be filled with robbers, and you will not be able to acquire peace, but only all kinds of savage wild beasts. The wicked one who is a tyrant is lord over these, while directing this, he, the wicked one, is beneath the great mire. The whole city, which is your soul, will perish. Remove yourself from these things, O wretched soul, which is the city. Bring your guide and your teacher. The mind is the guide, but reason is the teacher. They will bring you out of destruction and dangers. Listen, my son, listen, my daughter, to my advice. Do not show your back to enemies and flee. Oh no, boss. But rather pursue them as a strong one. This ain't no turn the other cheek, Naga. No, this ain't no JC, boss. This is Sylvanus Texas. Solomon, he on that David flow. Be not an animal with men pursuing you, but rather be a man with you pursuing the evil wild beast, which is your thoughts, remember. Let someone, somehow, they become victorious over you and trample upon you as on a dead man, and you perish due to their wickedness. Oh, wretched Naga, what will you do if you fall into their hands? Protect yourself, lest you be delivered into the hands of your enemies. Entrust yourself to this pair of friends, reason and mind, and no one will be victorious over you. May Hawa dwell in your camp. May his spirit protect your gates. And may the mind of divinity protect the walls. Let holy reason become a torch in your mind, burning the wood, which is the whole of sin. And if you do these things, Mana, you will be victorious over all your enemies, and they will not be able to wage war against you, neither will they be able to resist, nor will they be able to get you in your way. For if you find these You will despise them as deniers of truth. They will speak to you, cajoling you and enticing you, not because they are afraid of you, but because they are afraid of those who dwell within you, Mana. The guardians, the dragons of the divinity and the teaching. I'm talking Sylvanus of Texas. Genealogies never connect this. You know what, man? In 1792, where Tecumseh died of exhaustion, there was a lot going on. The presidential election of 1792 was going on. Yeah, I'm talking George Washington. George Washington was popping off. What does George Washington got to do with the Washington? Can we narrow down those who were the ops of Dragon Canoe and who would want him dead, who would want him backdoored in a party where he's celebrating? But he's celebrating. He's celebrating the recent conclusion of an alliance with the Muskogee and the Choctaw. And if he did die of exhaustion that day, that means he was so excited about bringing them together. If that's what if that's what the real spill is, that means his heart was so pure that he danced all night long. After fighting in all these wars, 20 years of fighting wars, he danced all night long to where he was exhausted. Because he was celebrating, he was happy about the alliance with the Choctaw and the Muskogee. That's how much he wanted his brothers and his sisters together. I want you to think about that. Every Naga should have a heartbone for Dragon Canoe if that's where his heart was. If he literally had a heart attack because he was so happy dancing and celebrating the alliance all night with the Muskogee and the Choctaw, man, then when we talk about Happy Naga Day and Happy Naga Strong, man, the Muskogee and the Choctaw should be on the front line remembering Dragon Canoe. The Choctaw were also celebrating a recent victory by one of their war bands against the Cumberland settlements, a legal governing body forming in 1780 to establish the efficient government of the early settlers along the Cumberland River in the area of what is now Nashville, Tennessee, or Tennessee, Tunisia. Tunisia or Tennessee? All right. The association was formed upon the signing of the Cumberland Compact. Man, it's a whole nother drop, man. It's a whole nother drop. 1792. So much was happening in 1792. In 1792, the second presidential election, George Washington. Birdman and Rubbo. Now we gotta look at JW a little different. Now that we understand that Dragon Canoe was assassinated during an alliance celebration with the Choctaw, with the Muskogee. offhand that this was during the Chickamauga War? I'm trying to put it together with y'all real slow, because 1792 is this re-election situation, right? So here comes JW in 1792, after all this time of dragging canoe and the Chickamauga fighting on the front line to keep these hijacks from getting more land. JW gets reelected in 1792. All this is a continuation of the Swan Night Wars, all up into the Tecumseh War, 1811, 1812, 1813, which continue into the Same Creek Wars, Seminole Wars, right? Piracy Wars, the St. Barbary War. A bar means swan, we're still talking Swan Nights. All back into the Cherokee War, right? And the Cherokee War ties into the Seminole and the Texas and the Mexicans. The Moshe is the Meshi, and the Sim is the Shem. This is all Hebrew war. This is all Hebrew war. Texas Indian Wars, all throughout the 1800s before they finally get to the Banana Wars, which is still the same more and more war. Now we're talking World War II, 1900s. All throughout the 1800s, it's all Indian wars. And I'm telling you, my nugget, when did you have time to be a homeborn slave? When did you have time to be anything other than an American? This is you. Then they said you African. But the Africans know that you American. They know that you the con. They know. They ain't ready to give the whole continent of America to somebody who is not looking like you. But just because they look like you don't mean they are you. Because some of them that look like you found you here, boss. Copper Color Con. It's a tribal war. Who backdoored Dragon Canoe in 1792? It was a great year for George Washington. I can't make this stuff up, right? Unanimously re-elected president of the United States. Okay, carrying large and small, everyone was voting for him. Why? They said, please, if you're gonna help us with these Indian savages like Dragon Canoe, we will re-elect you 11 more times, man. All right. I mean, you look it up. All right, 1792, Treaty of Jassy ends the Russian Empire's war with the Ottoman Empire. That sounds like another Hebrew war, you know what I'm saying, against the Moor, right? Moab, Ottoman, you already know what it is. We already know what it is. The Rus is the Russian. The Russian is the Rus. It seems like the same war is happening everywhere. Pause. 1792. His Majesty's Indian allies, 10 notables. So, this is a little side talking about those that were allied with the British. And if they were allied with the British, remember what the British also looked like. We're talking about Black Britain, right? Oh, come on, man. They keep taking down the real history, man. That's crazy. That's crazy, dog. Okay. man. All praise the while we got, a lot of screenshots and stuff, man. But, man, look what they doing in real time. But you know it by now. My niggas know it already, man. They talking about Britain. We talking about them cons, man. We talking about them cons. You know what Charles E. Boyd looked like in them, man. That's crazy, though. Man, they can't hide it forever, man. Y'all can't hide it, man. You can't hide Black Britain, man. Yeah, man. You can't hide it. This was on that other website, but they took it down. That's crazy. You see it since Real History WW. Now they took, man, that's crazy. This is what the Holy was. They trying to hide, man. So when it says you are invaded by the European, you know what the European look like. This is the first European emperor of the Inca. He hijacked the Inca, now he got the Inca. Gold. Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, 1500s, 1558. Same time Columbus is finding you, 1492. All right, let's go. So in Britain, in the UK, and Scotland, we still had a lot of allies. And I believe this is who Dragon Canoe and Tecumseh was connecting with. This is from allthingsliberty.com. In many respects, it was a sobering testament to Britain's mounting resolve to suppress the revolution at all costs. It is His Majesty's resolution, explained Lord George Germain, that the most vigorous efforts should be made and every means employed that Providence has put into His Majesty's hands for crushing the rebellion. Yeah, man. They're crushing the rebellion against the crown, right? Allying against other people that are against these so-called rebellious ones. You know what I'm saying? That just wanted to spread out and be parasites and take over things. You know what I'm saying? But really, as we see it today, it was all one thing. You know, it wasn't like some white British and some white Americans. These were Nagas on both sides, and Nagas in the UK and Nagas in Europe fighting the More War, and Nagas in America fighting the More War. So you allying with the British doesn't mean you ally with white British, sentiments. It means you ally with somebody in Europe, you know what I'm saying, in the UK or Scotland or Ireland or whatever the case was. Same thing with the Americans. Either you with the Americans or you with them jabronis, you know what I'm saying? You are allying with Andrew Jackson and them trying to invade Tecumseh in the Battle of Thames or Thomas, left the Dizzle Fitty, or you with the real ones that's protecting the land and trying to get the hijacks off the land, you know what I mean? So, it's interesting. I mean, this site right here, I think, is a good place to investigate. Most of the ones that they're putting that were allied, so-called, with the British were some of the realest ones. Yeah, I mean, right here in the More War, in the front line, right here in America. Not everybody was perfect. Some people was making, trying to make better treaties, or they're trying to, find some type of way to preserve their clans. You know what I mean? I'm not here to judge anybody, but for the most part, a lot of these mentions right here, are some of the realest ones on the front lines. They got Joseph Bryant. He was born in obscurity in the backwaters of the western frontier, but by the close of the revolution was regarded as one of the most legendary Indian ally of Great Britain. His exploits as a raider elicited outrage from the highest levels. It is, in the highest degree, distressing, wrote wrote George Washington to have our frontiers so continuously harassed by this collection of banditry under Bryant. In other words, Bryant was putting that work in on George Washington, right? George Washington was reelected the same year that Dragon Canoe died. And George Bryant was a big part of the Chickamauga flow. Dodge all these pictures and stuff. They ain't gonna give you no Nagas that's really rocking right here. They don't want you Nagas knowing that you Nagas, but just know that this Naga, Joseph Bryant, was a Naga. You know what I mean? Possessing extraordinary powerful intellect and irrepressible determination, Bryant was destined to distinguish himself. Born a Mohawk, Christian, and Anglican, Bryant received formal education from the Reverend Elizar Willock, the founder of Dartmouth College. He was not a hereditary chief, but rose to prominence in the Iroquois Confederacy due to his inherent ability to lead. So, in the story of Joseph Bryant, like, they tried to use him really on both sides. He had the revolutionary part, but they were also trying to use him to kind of like simmer things down too, you know what I'm saying? But it's a great story to dig on. Then of course you got Dragon Canoe. No other name could strike fear other than that dragon, man. No other name could strike fear. Such fear in the isolated settlements of America's southern backcountry, and for good reason. The Cherokee chief Dragon Canoe initially rose to prominence for opposing the accommodationist policies of tribal elders, including his own father, at the 1775 Treaty of Sycamore Shoals. Appalled that the older chiefs were willing to sell a vast tract between the Kentucky and Cumberland rivers, a furious Dragon Canoe ominously warned Transylvania Company agents that it was the bloody ground and would be dark and difficult to settle. He made good on such threats despite the protests of British agents who canceled coordination with Crown forces. Dragon Canoe and the militants who effectively seized control of tribal leadership helped instigate a full-scale war in 1776. So Dragon Canoe popped it off. To me, he's the realest of the realest, because there wouldn't be no Tecumseh without Dragon Canoe. And remember, Dragon Canoe's on a warpath, man. He's on a warpath, boss. Alright, and then you got Blackfish, man. He was the bane of the Kentucky settlement. So we talk about the Kentuckians and the Ishmaelites and all that stuff. Go get the drop. Blackfish was on their ass, man. You know what I'm saying? A respected war leader of the Shawnee Kiklokote. Blackfish proved the Kentuckians' chief antagonist. He's the chief antagonist. He's the chief bad guy of the Kentuckians. The Kentuckians are the ones that killed Tecumseh. You know what I'm saying? So, obviously Blackfish was tribed up with Tecumseh. Tribed up with the Chickamauga. And he's the chief antagonist at the outset of the war. All through the summer of 1777, Shawnee war parties harried the settlements, but were unable to dislodge the Americans from the crude stockades in which they sought protection. That winter, Blackfish scored one of the greatest coups of the Western War, capturing a party of nearly 30 Kentuckians. So you see, those were the ops. Now, I just want you to see this real clearly, like you see, the gang wars, gangland today. This was the ops. This was Tecumseh against the Kentuckians, Tecumseh against all these hijacks, forming, confederacies, making treaties, man. Tecumseh was tried up with who? The Shawnee, some of them, right? The Creek, some of them. Some Choctaw, but not all Choctaw. You know what I mean? Some Muskogee, but not all Muskogee. Like some Seminole. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't, completely. What they say, absolute. You know what I mean? That's the best way of putting it. Like you can't deal in absolutes and say, "Oh, the Cherokee did this." We're not talking all the Cherokee. We can't say the Choctaw did this, the Chickasaw did that. We're not talking all Chickasaw. You know what I mean? We're not dealing in absolutes. We're talking about, we're just following the story, the antagonist, the protagonist. You know what I'm saying? And Blackfish, man, is the chief antagonist at the outset of the war. All through the summer of 1777, right, Shawnee war parties, Harry, the settlements were unable to dislodge them, hijack Americans from the crude stockades in which they saw protection. That winter, Blackfish scored one of the greatest coups of the Western War, capturing a war party of nearly 30 Kentuckians, including the legendary frontiersman Daniel Boone. So that was a big capture. The following September, Blackfish was at it again, attempting to negotiate the surrender of Boonesboro at a council with 9 of the settlement's leading men. The chief, according to the Kentuckians, hatched an unsuccessful ruse. Getting up, reported John Bowman. Blackfish made a long speech and gave the word go. Indian warriors abruptly seized the Kentuckians. So he gave a long speech and then he went up, right? He went up in a furious tussle, during which the chief was thrown to the ground. The white man miraculously escaped to the stockade, man, ushering in the legendary siege of Boonesboro, which ended in failure for the Shawnee. I mean, that was his plan, man. And you got the leg, man. You got MSD Seguo. We got the Creek Nugget, man. He popped off, man. You got Sayan Kora. Gata. Alright. Recon him, man. King of the Senecas, man. Alright, we're talking about New York City. They call him Old Smoke, man. You want to smoke with Old Smoke? Huh? Known as Old Smoke. Silver-haired old warrior of the Seneca, man. Recon him. Recon at Goose, Hawaii. Ottawa chief, nearly forgotten today, but in his lifetime wielded tremendous influence over the remote tribes of the modern Michigan. Remember the G's and C's are interchangeable. The God is the Khan. Meshi is Moshe. So you're talking about the Khans of Moshe, the Ottawa, the Chippewa. British authorities had good reason to court their assistance. Even the Ohio tribes regarded the warriors of their Michigan neighbors as the wildest people. So you see how these hijacks play both sides, man. Whether you're talking British or American alliances, all that. Like we couldn't foresee the type of evil that was coming to our shores. We just try to do the best we can for our family, in those moments, serve them. But when Hawa said, I'm going to bring the worst of the heathen, Hawa brought the worst of the heathen. Recon Captain Pike, man. We're talking about the Delaware chief. You know what I'm saying? Recon that nugget. All this is popping off in the same time as the Chickamauga Wars, man. Recon Naga Pluggy, man. Oh, you don't know Pluggy got the plug? Who got the plug? Pluggy got the plug, man. In the opening years of the Revolution, there was no greater blight on the peace of the Western frontier than, in the words of the Virginia Council, the obstinate and wicked disposition of the said Indians of Pluggy's town. Oh, man. Pluggy was put in major work. Better known to the whites as Captain Pluggy, man. Alright? He's a Mingo leader, man. Pluke me Notoni was an inveterate enemy of these hijacked Americans. At a time when many Native leaders clung to tenuous neutrality, happy Naga strong. Hey, Naga week, Naga strong ain't just 1 week, man. It's every strong. We got 52 strongs in a year. It's all Naga strong, man. We're talking Mingos. We're talking Captain Pluggy in there, man. Ain't nobody else talking Pluggy. We talking Pluggy, man. We're talking the Seneca, largely composed of Iroquoian or the Iroquois Seneca, Cayuga, who steered their own course, man. They didn't sign, they didn't do all these treaties, regarded by these hijacks as little more than a maverick banditti. Pluggy's Mingos lived up to the reputation, marauding across Virginia's back country with a persistence that infuriated state. Man, they infuriated the hijack. I love the Pluggy, man. Shout out Alexander McGilvray, man. Yeah, he was educated, son of a Scottish trader, but what, man? But what? At the outbreak of the war, McGilvray was in Charleston, where he had received an education, including studies in Greek and Latin, at the behest of his loyalist father. By the summer of 1777, at the heart of the Chickamauga War, McGilvray was back among his mother's people, the Creek Nation. So we had a lot of Nagas like this that were educated and all these things. They just weren't some savage Indians that they want to paint these pictures of. They were highly educated, and they came back to their people with that education, man. And these Creek, my Naga, they fighting side by side with the Combs say. They in the midst of the Creek War, right? The Creek War is the War of 1812, which is why you see the continuation of these Creeks still popping off. Still popping off. The Creeks kept popping off with the Seminoles. Alright. So this educated Naga came back, tribed up with his mama's people, the Creeks. He was the most effective at gathering intelligence, bolstering Britons, standing among the Creeks, who were at best lukewarm allies of the crown. So the Creeks, they messed with some of these British, you know what I'm saying, but they were at best lukewarm allies. Like, they didn't fully trust everybody, which is good, right? This is good. And they would use these educated Nagas to kind of make a bridge at the same time, you know what I'm saying? You know, we don't know what we don't know. You know, what was the plan of Alexander? As a warrior, he was considered something of a flop, although he did had contingents of Creek warriors in the field, most notably in the defense of British held in Pensacola. He was apparently more adept at leading from the rear. So, you know, he was an educated, you know, brainiac. He wasn't like a frontline Naga like a dragon canoe, but still, man, he was in them. He was in the things, man. You know, he was in it. And it's just like any hood today. Not every Naga gonna be some frontline warrior Naga. Some Nagas, you know, can do more planning. Some Nagas can do more infiltration and intelligence or whatever you want to call it, man. But man, I definitely gotta dig on my Naga Egus Hawa, man. We gotta dig on the Ottawa chief, man. For real, for real. Constantly led Ottawa contingents in some of the frontier's most legendary campaigns, including Mohawk Valley, 1777, Vincennes, 1778, in Kentucky, 1780. And Ishmael is joining these Kentuckians, right, on the head bone of the Chickamauga. 1792, they saying Dragon Canoe died of exhaustion. George Washington gets reelected. Proclamation of August 26, 1790. This is 2 years before death or the assassination of Dragon Canoe. regarding treaties with the Cherokee, the Choctaw, and the Chickasaw. Interesting. Not all the Cherokee, right? Because the Chickamauga or the Cherokee that didn't want to make no deals, no treaties. So we're talking about the hijacks. This is the more and more war right in your face bone. We're talking Washington or Washington. I know it's small. I'm trying to get the whole thing. But let's go. Let's see if I get like this. Let's read the small part together. Whereas it had at this time become peculiarly necessary to warn the citizens of the United States against the violation of the treaties made at Hopewell on the Code on the 20th day of November, 1785. This is all during the Chickamauga War. And on the 3rd and 10th days of January, 1786, between United States Corporation and the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw nations of Indians. The Chickamauga Cherokee were the group that separated from the greater body of the Cherokee. So these Cherokee they talking about, this greater body, that's not the Chickamauga Cherokee, right? Because they separated from the greater body of Cherokee. Because the majority of these Cherokee chose to make peace with the hijack near the end of 1776. Yeah. So by the time the Tecumseh's driving them up, they've already made deals and treaties with the corporation. And the more and more war and the treaties of Morocco. Morocco, you can't have it both ways. These are your treaties. You gotta claim this shit. Right in the thick of things, cuz. I can't make this stuff up. To the United States hijack. And our own brothers and our own sisters right here at home that fight against us, that fight against the Tecumseh. These are the tribes that fought against the Tecumseh. In our last effort, man. Tecumseh's last effort to tribe them up. He tried to tribe up the Choctaw, tried to tribe up all these Nagas that were part of the Moorish treaties. They sided with the hijack against us right here at home. Oh, you gonna come back weeping once you see clearly. And to enforce an act entitled An Act to Regulate Trade and Intercourse with the Indian Tribe. Intercourse with the Indian tribes. Hijacked the Indian tribes. Copies of which treaties and act are hereunto annexed, I have therefore thought fit to require, and I do by these presents require, all officers of the United States as well, civil and military. That's what it's all about. to govern themselves according to the treaties. Military. We need military to give that force, that martial law, according to these treaties, because y'all supposed to help us. Cherokee, you're supposed to help us against your own brothers and sisters, Choctaw. Remember, you signed a deal with the hijack. You got to help us. You can't help the children of Israel. Remember? Chickasaw, remember? Don't make us remind you. Yeah, don't make us require out of you, military and all citizens, because you're on the boat. All slaves and inhabitants thereof to govern themselves according to the treaties, and act aforesaid as they will answer the contrary at their peril. If you don't help us conquer your brothers now, we're going to kill you now. We're going to take you out at your own peril, peril, peril. You can't go contrary to the treaty given under my hand in the seal of the United States and the city of New York, 26th day of August, AD 1790. In 1792, Dragon Canoe is gone. Assassinated. Backdoor. 15th year of sovereign independence, United States Corporation. Signed George Washington. What happened in 1792 that got Dragon Canoe backdoored, man? He made an alliance with the Muskogee and the Choctaw. So if George Washington got reelected the same year, Dragon Canoe made an alliance with the Choctaw and the Washita, or the Muskogee, Shalak. Okay. We gotta recon George Washington's connection with the Choctaw. He's writing to the Choctaw, to the chief of the Choctaw Nation. You know, it's a good little letter. We ain't gotta get all of it. You got the drop. Brothers, I have sent Major Daltrey, one of our warriors, in order to convince you that the United States will remember the treaty they made with your nation 4 years ago. So if this is in 1789, 4 years ago is 1785, right during the Chickamauga War. On the Coiwee, guard and protect him and show him the places at which trading posts shall be established in order to furnish you with goods. Yeah, what's that? Goods, what's that? Whatever you need to fight the Chickamauga, Choctaw. Whatever you need to furnish your more and more war against the tribes of Hasharah right here in America. And when the said post shall be established, support them to the utmost of your power. Be attentive to what he shall say in the name of the United States, for he will speak only truth. Regard the United States as your firm and best support. This is to the Choctaw. 1789. This is to the Choctaw, 1789. And in 1792, Dragon Canoe dies of exhaustion exhaustion from dancing after celebrating an alliance with the Choctaw. And George Washington just wrote to the Choctaw 3 years earlier in 1789, saying, remember these treaties, man, at your own peril. If you do anything to the contrary, we're going to come after you. (1789) Choctaw. 1789 George Washington, who got reelected in 1792, reminds the Choctaw chiefs, listen to Major Daughtry now. He speaks only the truth. Regard the United States as your firm and best support. Keep bright the chain of friendship. Whoa. He's speaking in code. Of course, right? Of course. When they say friendship, Managa, they talking friendship, you dig? 1789, 1786. I can't make this stuff up, boss. Nearly a decade before the treaty on the 20th of December, 1777, this is when it's popping off already with the Dragon Canoe and the Chickamauga, man. And these Moors came in and did treaties with the corporation. And these Moors are the same that George Washington is talking to in 1789. 1786, you got the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And he's saying, George Washington is saying, keep bright the chain of friendship in between the Chickasaws and your nation. Reject the advice of bad men who may attempt to poison your mind. So he's talking about, Dragon Canoe and Tecumseh. He's talking about these orators. He's talking about Joseph Bryan in there. Don't let the truth get in your mind. Don't let the real ones poison your minds with suspicions against the United States Corporation. Don't let them tell you that you're on your own land. Don't let them tell you that this is your inheritance, natural by law. Don't let them poison your minds with truth against us. Don't let them tell you that they're the copper-colored races found here. Don't let them tell you that. Don't let them raise suspicions against us. Give it under my hand and seal at the city of New York, 17th day of December, 1789. George Washington, by command of the President of the United States. It's the archives, boss. Who backdoor Dragon Canoe in 1792? We all want to know they still trying to solve the Tupac, assassination, right? But what happened to Tupac attack? What happened to the Inca? What happened with Charles V, Charles Kenton? And what happened with George Washington and the Choctaw and the Chickamauga? George Washington had a complicated relationship with the Nagas, Native Americans. He was born into a world in which Native peoples were still major players in the Americas. Yeah, major players in the 1700s. Despite having suffered through 3 centuries of European diseases dispossession and warfare throughout his life, Washington negotiated with and served alongside Native peoples. He negotiated with the Choctaw, not the Chickamauga. He negotiated, with the Confederacy, Psalms 83. Fought against others and sought their land for his own prosperity. This is why he couldn't make no treaties with Dragon Canoe and Tecumseh. First recorded his first encounter with Native Americans when he was 16 years old. Okay, that's good. Good for you, man. They keep bringing up this Mount Vernon, situation. That was a pivotal time for old George Washington. Our archaeologists have found artifacts from every era of human activity at Mount Vernon, dating at least as far back as 10,000 years. We cannot tell the story of the Virginia Washington knew and the nation he helped to found without including indigenous voices. Yeah, I guess so, man. Because you hijacking the Chickamauga. His actions on behalf of the British people and later the United States affected Native peoples in often tragic ways. Yeah. This is what we finding out too, boss. Who's Greenwood LaFleur? Greenwood LaFleur? Oh, man. Greenwood served as the elected principal chief of the Choctaw in 1830 before removal. Before that, the nation was governed by 3 district chiefs and a council of chiefs, a wealthy and regional influential Choctaw of mixed race. Mixed race. So this is them, like I said, this ain't against, this investigation is not against all Choctaw Nagas, man. We gotta investigate the Cherokee Nagas, the Chickamauga Nagas, because you best believe some Chickamauga Nagas were a part of the backdooring of Dragon Canoe. The same way they tried to backdoor King David, the tribe of Judah was responsible for trying to backdoor King David. Your own people, your own Nagas, man, your own tribe. So yeah, mixed race, yeah, they're trying to mix it in and use the maternal line. And this is all this Greenwood flow. They connected through the mothers, which is why the Jewish today always go through the mama line. And they say everything through the mama instead of everything through the seed. And they forgot about the seed. Because the seed will continue. The seed plays heavy. Let's go. Who belonged to the Choctaw League due to his mother's rank, right? So who's his daddy's rank? Like, So they would rape our queens, rape our princesses, rape our mothers, our daughters. They would do that and then connect themselves through the rape to the mother line. And that's how they got their rank, and that's how they stole land and said they were, my grandmother was a Choctaw princess. Yeah, you raped your way in. You couldn't do that to the seed. You had to kill the seed. You had to kill the seed, man. They raped their ways into maternal matriarchies, and this is why people always think, all this was a matriarchy. Either it was a matriarchy because of rape, or it was a matriarchy because all these, Naga males were at war, and the amas, grandmas, and mamas had to hold it down, man, right there in the village, man, while these Nagas was on the front lines. It wasn't a matriarchy because they wanted it to be. It was a matriarchy by default, my Naga. Unless you got an account of all the Naga men staying at home and all the, Naga queens just popping off and all these tribes. I'm not just talking about Amazon. I'm talking about your normal native tribe. Nah, man. A true queen appreciated the presence of her king at home. She wasn't trying to be a matriarchy. She wasn't trying to flex her power over her king. Her power was within her, within the seed, within the nourishment of the soil. She didn't have to boast over the seed. She is the seed. We got daughters, I got daughters, they are my seed, huh? They don't have to boast themselves over me. They are me. They are my seed. My daughter is me. She don't have to act like I don't exist. That's hijack city. But the hijack has to act like I don't exist. The hijack can only come through the mother's rank. Because they kill off the fathers. 1830, LaFleur led other chiefs in signing the Treaty of the Dancing Rabbit. Oh boy, follow the rabbit. Treaty which was signed September 27, 1830 and proclaimed on February 24, 1831 between the Choctaw American Indian tribe and the U.S. government. The treaty was the first removal treaty which was carried into effect. LaFleur was the first son of Rebecca Cravat, a high-ranking Choctaw daughter of Chief Pushmataha. And this is the Naga that was the opposition of the Kosei, fought alongside Andrew Jackson, and even became a general in the U.S. Army. The most decorated native Indian Naga that became a general in the U.S. Army. Because the Choctaw had a matrilineal system. I wonder why. Now they can tie themselves to the daughters and forget about the seed, the true seed of the Choctaw, and now you don't know who you are. But this LaFleur connected, through the raping and pillaging into the maternal rank. First son of the Choctaw daughter of Chief Pushmataha. And now he's ruling the Choctaw through the mother rank, through the rape. Now you got more treaties easily popping off because he's a he's a son, he's a grandson of Pushmataha. Let's go. Who to George W. Harkins? George Washington Harkins, my night. Talking George Washington, right? Yeah, well, there's more George Washingtons, you know what I'm saying? Attorney, prominent chief of the Choctaw tribe during Indian removal. So George Washington is writing to the chief of the Choctaw, and one of the chief of the Choctaw is George Washington. Prominent chief of the Choctaw tribe. I just want to, I want to show you how this gets hijacked real fast. You know what I'm saying? So he elected as principal chief after the National Council disposed his maternal uncle Greenwood of LaFleur. So after Greenwood, we just read about, whose mother connects with the ranks, Pushmataha, he gets disposed, and here comes J.W. Harkins, elected judge of the Red River District, Indian Territory. Of course he's elected judge, not because he's so smart, but because of his connection with LaFleur, with Pushmataha, with the hijacks that are in the treaties of the More and More War. Chief of the Apu Shunubi district of the Choctaw Nation, served until 1857. He's born in high status Choctaw through his mother, another LaFleur. All through the mamas. See, if they hijack the mamas, they can now weasel their way into the land and land rights and inheritance and titles and ranks. oldest maternal uncle, traditionally the most important mentor to a boy child, was Greenwood LaFleur, the chief of the Choctaw. And then here he comes. And he's educated at the Central College in Danville, Kentucky. And even in the, The Simpsons or one of them, who got the Danville flow? Is it SpongeBob? One of these animated folks, be talking about Danville a lot because they know a lot of drop. And we're talking Kentucky again, and the Kentuckians are the ones that are responsible for the killing of Tecumseh. And he's educated right there in Kentucky, connected with the Choctaw, connected with Ishmael, Psalms 83 Confederacy, being played out right in your face, Bo, in the late 1700s, early 1800s, man. Like we seen it right in our face. To proceed with Indian removal, President Andrew Jackson refused to recognize Harkin's authority with the tribe. After Indian removal, Harkins rose in influence in the tribe. 1834, he was elected judge of the Red River District in Indian Territory. The Council of Chiefs of the Indian District elected him a principal chief of the district, one of the three of the Choctaw Nation, where he served from 1850 to 1857. Here's what he wrote as he steps out the door. It is considerable diffidence that I attempt to address the American people, knowing and feeling sensibly my incompetency in believing that your highly and well improved minds would not be well entertained by the address of a Choctaw. We were hedged in by two evils, and we chose that which we thought the least. So they had to choose the least of two evils, according to them. Yet we could not recognize the right that the state of Mississippi had assumed to legislate for us, although the legislature of the state were qualified to make laws for their own citizens that did not qualify them to become lawmakers to a people that were so dissimilar in manners and customs as the Choctaws are to the Mississippians, admitting that they understood the people. Could they remove that mountain of prejudice that has ever obstructed the streams of justice and prevent the solitary influence from reaching my devoted countrymen? We as Choctaws rather chose to suffer and be free than live under the degrading influence of laws which our voice could not be heard in their formation. Hey, too late. Because once you make these treaties with the hijack, you were caught in between, and now you had to choose the lesser of two evils. You could have just chose up. I mean, everybody could do it again. I'm sure they would do a lot different. And keep recounting everything happening around this George Washington situation. Shout out to State of the Union History.com. We're talking about the Indian Intercourse Acts, preserving peace on the frontiers. Unless the murdering of Indians can be restrained by bringing the murderers to condign prison, of all the exertions of the government to prevent destructive retaliation by the Indians will prove fruitless. Of all our present agreeable prospects illusory. George Washington, 1795. From 1776 until 95, right? That's all the Chickamauga flow, right? Huh? 1776 into 1795. Right? That's the entire Chickamauga War. But you got to see it clearly. you see it clearly. We're talking the Chickamauga Wars, we're talking Dragon Canoe, we're talking the Tecumseh. From 1776 until 1795, there was a series of back and forth raids, ambushes, full-scale battles between the frontiersmen and the Cherokee Indians during the latter years of what is now called the Cherokee Indian or Cherokee American War. President George Washington was attempting to negotiate treaties with the Cherokee. Treaties of peace and friendship. Hijack City. But murderers' actions by frontiersmen like John Beard led to further retaliation by Dragon Canoe and the Cherokee, right? In one instance, over 1,000 Chickamauga Indians. Whoa. 1,000 Chickamauga Indians led a massacre of settlers, including many children. Well, that Nat Turner fighting the invader flow. Washington wrote much about the Cherokee, and now in 1795, the president once again used the State of the Union address to discuss the Cherokee-Indian relations. In his address, he wrote that the Creek and Cherokee Indians, who alone of the southern tribes had annoyed our frontiers. Remember, the Creek were tribed up with the Tecumseh. Have lately confirmed their pre-existing treaties with us, but he lamented that American sincerity has been once more clouded by wanton murderers. Washington feared that retaliation of these murders put our frontiers at danger and would subject the nation to more effusion of blood. So let's pick it up here. It says 2 years later in 1792, right? It's when Dragon Canoe died. Washington pointed out to Congress that the basic provisions of law were not effective in reducing the crimes against the outrages upon the Indians. Something needed to be done to better define the laws and make it easier for them to be enforced. Washington recommended that Congress consider providing adequate provision for giving energy to the laws throughout our interior frontier and for restraining the commission of outrages upon the Indians. In response, Congress expanded the laws through the Intercourse Law of 1793, which named specific crimes including murder, robbery, larceny, trespass, and specified the proper courts to be used. But still, Washington believed this was not strong enough. So in his 1795 State of the Union address, Washington was bluntly told Congress that it is demonstrated that these violences can now be perpetrated with impunity, and it can need no argument to prove that unless the murdering of Indians can be restrained by bringing the murderers to condign punishment, all the exertions of the government to prevent destructive retaliations by the Indians will prove fruitless. You can't keep killing Nagas with impunity. We walking through the streets now, hands up, don't shoot, hands up, I can't breathe, because of the killing of niggas with impunity. But who's the Indians? The same copper color race found here? Y'all read it, man. Y'all read it, man. So when they talk about the Cherokee Indian or American wars, they're just talking about the Chickamauga War. They call it a series of raids and campaigns and ambushes and minor skirmishes and several full-scale frontier battles, like the Battle of Tippecanoe, like the Battle of Thames, Southwest from 1776 to 1795 between the Cherokee and the American settlers or invaders in Nagarville. Most of the events took place in the Upper South region, while the fighting stretched across the entire period. Managa, you weren't brought on a boat from Africa. You were here fighting, because it stretched across the entire period. There were extended periods with little or no action. The Cherokee leader, Dragging Canoe, whom some historians call the Savage Napoleon, and his warriors and other Cherokee fought alongside and together with warriors from several other tribes, most often Muskogee, but somebody backdoored them. In the Old Southwest and the Shawnee and the Old Northwest during the Revolutionary War, they also fought alongside British troops, loyalist militia, and King's Caractacus against the rebel colonists, hoping to expel them from their territory, expel them from their land. Open warfare broke out in the summer of 1776. We keep going back to that date. In the over mountain settlements of the Washington District, mainly those of the Watauga, Holston, Nolekuki, Dole Rivers in eastern Tennessee, as well as the colonies, later states of Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. It later spread to settlements along the Cumberland River, Middle Tennessee, and in Kentucky. The wars can be divided in two phases. The first phase took place from 1776 to 1783, in which the Cherokees fought as allies of the Kingdom of Britain against the American colonies. The Cherokee War of 1776 encompassed the entirety of the Cherokee Nation. At the end of 1776, the only militant Cherokee were those who migrated with dragging canoe. And the militant Cherokee is the Cherokee that didn't give up, that didn't do no deals, that didn't sign no treaties. And these militant Cherokee are regarded as Negroes today. And they're telling you militant Cherokee, Caractacus, the same as the Carolinas. Carolina is the same as the Caractacus or Caractacus. Katai is Cathay, which means pure land. Kara means swarthy or copper color. Copper colored Tonkas of the pure land. Are we the people, the real ones? The tribe migrating with the Gun Dragon to the Chickamauga towns, known as the Chickamauga Cherokee. Second phase lasted 1783 to 1794. The Cherokee served as proxies of the Viceroy of New Spain. Here we go, right? Hijack City, against the recently formed United States of America. Because they migrated westward to the new settlements, initially known as the Five Lower Towns, referring to their location in the Piedmont. These people became known as Lower Cherokee. This term was used well into the 19th century. The Chickamauga ended their warfare November 1794 in the Treaty of Tellico Blockhouse. Have you heard of this treaty? And did it end in 1794, or did it continue into the Tecumseh War in 1812? Treaty signed November 8, 1794, marked the end of the Cherokee American War. Cherokee chiefs hanging Ma representing, now remember, Dragging Canoe died 1792. Here we go. Who backdoored Dragging Canoe? Because whoever did this deal might be prime suspect, prime target. And he was probably there where Dragon Canoe was dancing, celebrating this alliance with the Muskogee and the Choctaw, this victory in their recent war. And then 2 years later, hanging Maul, huh? I told you somebody from the inside, it wasn't just the Choctaw. Hanging Maul in them is now representing the upper Cherokee. Where Dragon Canoe was representing the lower Cherokee, they got somebody representing the upper Cherokee along with their hijacked Colonel John Watt, representing the lower Cherokee or the Chickamauga. So John Watt could have been responsible for the back door to Tecumseh directly because he was already representing the lower Cherokee or the Chickamauga, as well as Hanging Maul. He had to be there, man. As well as some of these Muskogee and Choctaw, they had to make a confederacy to backdoor the homie, to backdoor the con, Dragon Canoe. And they met with Governor William Blount to put them in the mix to negotiate this backdoor hijack city. All sides agree to recognize boundaries set forth in previous treaties. Balls. First Treaty of Tellico, also known as Treaty with the Cherokee, negotiated 1797, again after the death of Dragon Canoe. And this is when Tecumseh picked it back up, and when he picked that flag back up, man, it went right back at the hijack. Yeah, that's that Tellico Treaty. It's giving us some insight into the back door of the dragon. Because he on a warpath, boss. (1786), Mohawk leader Joseph Bryan again, right? Major war chief of the Iroquois had organized the Western Confederacy of Tribes to resist American settlement in Ohio. The Lower Cherokee were founding members and fought in the Northwest Indian War that resulted from the conflict. The Northwest Indian War ended with the Treaty of Greenville, 1785. Or 95, so 1795, Northwest Indian War. And who's the Northwest? Again, we're talking Northwest and Maxim balls. Uh-oh. Do you see clearly? There's an untold hush-hush history about the Moors that's like a big secret. And while they're making their Moorish treaties on you for the Northwest Africa, the Northwest Indian wars are popular, right? Yeah. Northwest Indian War for Northwest Maxim. Yeah, boss. Yeah, boss. So they keep saying 1785, end of the Chickamauga War. Kept going to 1794, 1795, which is still the same Northwest Nagas. The Chickamauga. And then who picks it back up? Tecumseh. And from 1811 on up, it is up, it is up, it is up, it is up, my naga, it is up. By that time it's too late. They should have came as a confederacy a long time ago. They should have been helping here instead of making the treaties of peace and friendship. Now they trying to choose between the least of the two evils. It's too late now, man. You made a deal with a Maxim, Atlantis in there. 1786. Northwest Indian War ended with the Treaty of Greenville. Treaty of Greenville gave up a gang of land. Where do we get that at? Britannica.com. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Little Turtle from the Miami now. He seeded the future state of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan both. We talking Greenville, right? $17.95. As the invaders moved into the Northwest Territory in the years following the American Revolution, their advance was opposed by a loose alliance of mainly Algonquin-speaking people, the Shawnee and the Delaware, both of whom had been driven west by prior territorial encroachments, joined the Ottawa, Ojibwa, Miami, Potawatomi, and the Northwest Indian Confederation led by Little Turtle. Native American Confederation skirmish with settlers and Kentucky militia. Yeah, tried to pacify. Little Turtle already gave up Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan. That's pretty much all they needed to plant their flag. Ishmael migrated 1785, same year. Joined the Kentuckians and then set up their mountain of harmonics all across Danville. Here we go again with the Danville, right? What's it got to do with the tribe of Dan? What's it got to do with the Moore Science Temple that pin broke both? But clearly they gave up Ohio, Indiana, right? Illinois, all that. While they all they set up their cities, Muhammad, Mecca, Morocco, Cairo, right? Because the tribe of Ishmael, Ben Ishmael, were a collection of runaway slaves. Now I think they're migrating military. And they thrived up through treaties with the native Khans, like the Choctaw, poor whites, right? WIGHTs, created a colony in Kentucky. And the Kentuckians were responsible for the slaying of the Tecumseh. Do you see clearly? What happened in Kings Mountain, 1780, Battle of Kings Mountain, won by colonial backwoodsmen in the midst of the conditions not unlike those of 1813, when Kentuckians won the Battle of Thames. Yeah. Kentuckians won the Battle of Thames. And it's related to this Muhammad, this Mecca, this Morocco, that Ishmael migrated right into, at the same damn time, 1785. Same damn time. As the Chickamauga War, Northwest of Mexican War, is popping off. Northwest Indian War, right? Seated with the Treaty of Greenville, where they gave Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. The conclusion of the Indian Wars enabled the settlement of what had been called Indian Territory in the Royal Proclamation of 1763, and culminated in the first Trans-Appalachian States, Kentucky. Ooh, in the same year, 1792. Crazy, right? You see all the similarities coming together. We're just talking about Chickamauga, so-called Cherokee American War. Talking worlds beyond the pole. The same way they call this a new world, they call all these other lands new worlds as they so-called explore, so-called settle, and all they're doing is invading promised land. And that's why dragging canoes on a warpath. My nigga surfing away with me. I am sure surfing away with you. Shout out to TNGENWE.org. History of Campbell County, Tennessee. Track new Chickamauga Cherokee by Dallas Bogan. Let's go. I'm just leading you to the water, man. It's up to you to walk through the door. Dragon canoe, often called the Tecumseh of the South. Whoa. Was one of the Cherokee tribe's most devoted chiefs. He angrily opposed the terms of the deal in which the Cherokee Nation signed away some of their valuable land to the whites and received very little return.